Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lorene Powell Jobs, Chair and co-founder of College Track.
Thank you. Good morning. On behalf of the board, staff, and students of College Track, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our new center in the Bayview. It's an honor to have so many civic leaders here today. And Mayor Lee, who was with us for our grand opening in the fall, welcome back. Your support for our mission and for the students of San Francisco is so appreciated. Even though everyone talks about globalization, it is increasingly apparent that the real action is local, because needs are local and people are local. As we rightly aspire to fix the planet, each of us, each day, can fix the neighborhood. Real progress is concrete, place-specific and people-specific. And so, city governance may have greater repercussions on the way we live now than national or international institutions. This concreteness is one of the premises of College Track. It lifts up one student after another. It looks after and supports individuals, not statistics. It stands or falls on the quality of its local, individual, concrete attention. There is nothing global about its methods and objectives, even though we believe more institutions like ours would make this a better world. We begin here, concretely and not abstractly, and slowly, patiently, we build out. We are honored that Mayor Lee has chosen to give his address at College Track. We really are the city of San Francisco and College Track in this together. Mayor Lee, that you have chosen to make your first State of the City address here at College Track in the Bayview sends a powerful message about your commitment to educational opportunity for all students in San Francisco. You know that this city's future depends on the education we provide to all of our children. It is thus my great pleasure to introduce the mayor of the city of San Francisco, our friend, Ed Lee.
Good morning. Thank you, Lorene, for that kind introduction, and a sincere thanks for opening your doors for us this morning. Your commitment, Lorene, to Bayview and the city is really helping make college an expectation, not an exception for our kids. So I want to acknowledge Board President David Chu and all the members of our Board of Supervisors, including Supervisor Cohn, whose district we're in today, and to our two newest supervisors, Supervisor Breed and Supervisor Yee. Mayor Brown, thank you for being here and taking the time to join us this morning. You have done so much in this community to lift it up for so many years, and since this is my first State of the City address, I'm hoping you'll cut me some slack if you choose to write about it in the Sunday column this weekend. To the many elected officials in San Francisco, to the department heads and community leaders and education leaders, to all of you who are online, and thank you, all of you, for joining us this morning. And of course, to my wonderful wife, Anita, who inspires me every day as a partner, mother, and friend, thank you for being here and for putting up with me of all these years. A year ago, I stood before you and swore my oath of office for a full term as mayor, pledging to seize the year of the dragon to focus on jobs and our economic recovery, to make bold decisions for our future, and working together with the Board of Supervisors and with all of our residents to forge consensus around some of the greatest challenges. To put it plainly, to get things done. When I took office, our unemployment rate was still high. We faced a $250 million budget deficit with more deep cuts from Sacramento and Washington looming. The dismantling of redevelopment by the state was a potential death knell for affordable housing, and our job-killing payroll tax stymied business growth and confidence. And so over the last year, we in this room and many others working together through sometimes difficult moments and disagreements to take on these serious challenges for our city, some of which have vexed us for years and years. And I am very proud and grateful that in 2012, together, through innovation and consensus, we forged a path forward through these challenges, and we got it done. To the members of the board, to the city commissioners, to department heads and other elected officials, to our friends in the business, labor, nonprofit, and other communities who spent countless hours with us in hearings and negotiations, and most importantly, to the great people of San Francisco who rewarded us with your overwhelming support at the ballot in November. Thank you very much. Together, we're putting San Francisco back on the right track and building a solid economic foundation for all of our residents. My fellow San Franciscans, we're living today in an extraordinary city in an extraordinary time, a time of astonishing innovation and unlimited promise with our own people from every background and orientation driving that innovation and forging the future right here, right now, not just for San Francisco, but for the whole world. Just up the street in Mission Bay at UCSF and within the labs of our homegrown biotech companies, they're conducting research and developing medical treatments that will cure diseases and save lives. From downtown to South of Market to Central Market, we're the proud home of growing companies that are revolutionizing business, designs, and communications, providing the world with tools to live untethered in the cloud, print in 3D, or even topple dictators with a tweet. From the Sunset to the Mission to right here in the Bayview, we're witnessing a rebirth of local manufacturing, fashion, and artisanal food production that bear the label Made in San Francisco. A stamp, yes. A stamp and mark of craftsmanship coveted by consumers all around the world. San Francisco is back. You want proof? The 26 cranes across the skyline. 26 cranes, meaning thousands of good construction jobs, our own residents back at work, building San Francisco's future with their hands, their skills, and a whole lot of heart. From the Transbay Center to the Central Subway to the new cruise ship terminal, and very soon, a spectacular new waterfront arena for the Golden State Warriors and our world-class concerts and events. Our unemployment rate today stands among the lowest in California, down to 6.5% this last December, from 9.6% when I first took office. Ladies and gentlemen, that means 31,000 more San Franciscans back to work today. Nearly 11 million square feet of commercial office space was leased last year. That's an equivalent of 20 Transamerica buildings. And we have the first new commercial office high-rise building in years breaking ground this spring. We passed the Housing Trust Fund, business tax reform, and bonds to improve our neighborhoods, our parks, and our open space. Under the leadership of the Board of Supervisors Budget Chair, Carmen Chu, for the first time, we have a balanced 2-year budget and a 5-year financial plan. Our budget reserves are growing, and this summer, we welcome the excitement of the 34th America's Cup sailing on the bay and the international spotlight that the races will bring. Our beloved Giants swept the World Series. And our baseball's champions, but I like to say we're the champions. And in just 6 days, our incredible 49ers will take the field in New Orleans in their first Super Bowl appearance in 18 years, with the whole city and the region behind them. My fellow San Franciscans, I would submit to you that on these facts alone, the state of our great city and county of San Francisco is vital, it's resurgent, and it's strong. This renewed strength of our city, the restored confidence in our future, is also recognized across the nation and around the world. We are flat out the best city in America in 2012, according to Bloomberg Business Week. Lonely Planet called San Francisco the best city to visit in 2013. We have the best park, the urban park system in America in 2012, according to the Trust for Public Land. And we are among, yes, go for our parks. And we are among the world's most innovative cities, the smartest cities, the most bicycle-friendly cities, and the most walkable cities. Yes. And continuing the environmental leadership begun under our former Mayor and Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, we're the greenest city in North America, the clean tech capital of North America. And the #1 for green jobs in 2012, according to Forbes magazine. Heck, just last week, we were even named the nation's best city to lose weight. I know they must have missed me down at Pearl's Burgers when they were doing that survey. Well, they say it's better to be born lucky than good, but in the case of San Francisco, I really believe we're blessed with both. The progress of our city in 2012 is not a product of sheer luck. It's no accident. Indeed, we are vital, we're resurgent, we're strong, we're a strong city because our creativity of the people, because of the fiscally responsible direction we've taken, deliberate choices we have made to restore investor confidence and attract new jobs and new businesses to every neighborhood of our city. We're vital, we're resurgent, and we're strong because whether it's pension reform or business tax or reform of our housing and infrastructure, on the significant policy issues and major challenges we faced, we have worked together these last 2 years to find and build consensus and put the people's priorities ahead of politics at City Hall. And on this course, my fellow San Franciscans, I believe with all my heart that we must continue. History tells us that while these truths may be self-evident, they have never been self-executing, as our president reminded us last week in his own inaugural, speaking of our freedom. The same is true of our commitment to continuing the path of progress that we're on today. Though the worst of the economic crisis may be behind us and more prosperous times ahead, we must not, we cannot relent from our commitment to fiscal prudence with the taxpayers' money. We must not turn back from the path of reform. We must not be distracted from our fundamental responsibilities to guarantee public safety and essential services. And we must not retreat from making smart investments in our people, in our neighborhoods, and in our infrastructure. Now, I know that some may be tempted in better times to abandon the hard work of reform for the easy grab of headlines, to stray from the people's priorities towards the provocative and polarizing instead. Well, that's the wrong path. That's the wrong path for San Francisco, and we've been there before, and we know it doesn't lead to more jobs or better schools, more housing, or safer streets. Let's us instead work until the vitality and the resurgence that so many of us see and feel in our city today reaches every one of our residents. As I said last year in my inauguration, San Francisco must be the city for the 100%, a place of hope and opportunity for all. There are so many bright lights in San Francisco today, but we will not be blind to those who still feel left behind or are anxious about their future. We will not abandon those who still feel unsafe in their home or turn a blind eye to those who have no home. We can still be a city stronger still. And so together with you, I pledge myself, my entire administration, and challenge each of us to double down our efforts in 2013 to reform and invest for the future, to turn the big challenges that remain before us into opportunities, once again through consensus, the San Francisco way. Now, as you all know, my focus as mayor this year, above almost all else, has been helping businesses and entrepreneurs create jobs for our residents through our 17-point economic plan. We may see the signs of economic recovery all around us, but at the heart of our continued success is still jobs. Nothing in life lifts us up, keeps us out of trouble, or strengthens our families like the dignity of a job and the pride of a paycheck. And working together with the Board of Supervisors, with business, with organized labor and the nonprofit sectors, I'm very proud that just in 1 year, we've turned a great deal of that 17-point economic plan into real economic action for our city. San Francisco today is once again a job engine for California, with more than 26,000 new jobs created in our city between June of 2011 and June of 2012 alone. We have truly become the innovation capital of the world, home to 1,800 tech companies with more than 42,000 employees and growing every day, up 50% since I've been mayor. And we have formed strong public-private partnerships with our technology companies to engage these bright minds and give back to our city through organizations like ETSF City and Code for America. And because of the choices we made together, we have given renewed confidence to leading high technology companies like Salesforce, Yelp, Zynga, Twitter, Square, Autodesk, Riverbed, Airbnb, and so many more to stay and grow in our city. We've even attracted companies, growing companies, like the Pac-12 Enterprises and Pinterest to pull up stakes and move to the new gravitational center of Silicon Valley, San Francisco. A recent study by the Bay Area Council's Economic Institute found that for every one job created in the high-tech center, more than 4 additional jobs were created outside of tech in the local goods and services sector. Because far from focusing on merely one sector, we are building a diversified and broad-based economic foundation for our city to extend the economic recovery to all our residents. One of the things I'm most proud of, which I know many of the Board of Supervisors share, is the fact that we are making things once again in San Francisco, providing jobs for thousands of people from every background in our local manufacturing sector. Through the outstanding work of SF MAID and the tireless leadership of Kate Sophis and her board, and with the continued support of our Office of Economic and Workforce Development, local manufacturing jobs increased 12.5% in 2012, outpacing the job growth of most other sectors after literally decades of decline. We're putting people back to work in literally 435 companies that are headquartered and manufacture their products in our city today. Companies like McCostry Mattresses, Heath Ceramics, Dodo Case, Rickshaw Bags, 18 Rabbits Granola, Cho Chocolates, and so many other bakers and confectioners. We're creating jobs through our environmental leadership as well. Once again, thank you, Lieutenant Governor Newsom. That's proving you can grow the economy and protect our environment and climate at the same time through our best-in-the-nation recycling and waste diversion rates, our commitment to electric vehicles, strongest-in-the-nation green building standards, and continuing efforts to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions to meet our climate action goals. In 2012, we also launched Clean Tech SF, a public-private partnership to attract and support new companies and entrepreneurs to join the 208 clean tech and green tech companies already in our city. And 10 years later, a vision for Mission Bay proposed by Mayor Brown and fostered by Mayor Newsom is a reality. 129 biotech and life science companies call our city home. And as a world-class city, we must direct our economic focus globally as well as locally. Through China SF, we have attracted 15 companies from China to open up their offices and headquarters in San Francisco, with more to come. And we are working now to expand this model of public-private partnerships to increase our economic ties to India, the rest of Asia, and Latin America. Tourism and business travel remain our #1 industries, supporting more than 71,000 local jobs and bringing $8.4 billion to our local economy in 2011. A record 44.5 million passengers passed through the San Francisco International Airport in 2012, up 8.6% last year, with even more expected this year in 2013. That's why we must support and join together to support the next phase of the expansion for the Moscone Convention Center, which the Board of Supervisors Budget Committee takes up this week, so we can compete once again with San Diego, Las Vegas, and other major cities for the world's largest conventions and trade shows. But our economic, yes. But our economic recovery, our economic progress, is not just taking shape along our innovation corridor from South of Market to Mission Bay or in our own downtown or Union Square. You can also see it in our vibrant neighborhoods and commercial corridors. As Supervisor Kim knows, there perhaps is nowhere is the revitalization of our neighborhood more apparent or promising and more deserving than for our continued attention to the Central Market and the Tenderloin. In 2011, not even 2 years ago, together we made the then controversial choice to offer a temporary break from our payroll tax to pioneering employers who agreed to move in and create new jobs in this long-neglected heart of our city, which has stubbornly resisted attempts to revitalize its streets and fill entire blocks of vacant buildings year after year, mayor after mayor. The results in that 2 years' time have been nothing short of astonishing, with 10 companies claiming 1 million square feet of vacant office space, room for 5,700 jobs, and behold, now we're seeing the proof of the wisdom of our hard choices. Major companies that are growing like Square and Dolby choosing to move in the Central Market even without the benefit of our payroll tax exemption. And with these new jobs, there are coming thousands of new homes, including new affordable housing. I understand that these changes sometimes, with these changes come tensions, and I know that we must deal with the serious challenges that remain in public safety and street behavior. Last Friday, the first class of our new police academy graduated. 43 new police officers will soon be hitting our streets. With 20% of them deployed out of the Southern Station, which is responsible for patrolling Central Market. And in a few weeks, we'll finally open the 6th Street substation, or what I call the Central Market Safety Hub. Soon you will see new police officers in the neighborhood and community ambassadors and members of several public safety agencies occupying the hub regularly. And we are seeing that promise return to commercial corridors across the city through our small and neighborhood businesses, the quiet engines of job creation who deserve every measure of support from City Hall. That's why in 2012, as part of our economic plan, we launched the Invest in Neighborhoods initiative to give small businesses the access to capital, to activate streetscapes and public spaces, help fill vacant storefronts, and provide customized assistance and incentives to 25 targeted commercial corridors in every part of our city. We're seeing the results of this initiative with people like Eskender here with us this morning, who, with the help of city loans, opened the delicious Radio Africa Kitchen nearby on 3rd Street. Or Jacqueline Carpenter of Ideal Restoration on Evans, who is working with us to hire returning veterans into her growing company. And through the help of our job squads, also launched last year, Mr. Bing Shu Chen of Happy Bakery and others who were able to quickly relocate and reopen their businesses following the devastating fire on Ocean Avenue in Supervisor Yee's district last August. We shouldn't make it hard for people to create jobs in our city. We should make it easier. And that's why soon we'll launch the first phase of an online tool to simplify and navigate the process of opening a business in San Francisco. And it's why I was proud to sign Supervisor Wiener's common sense legislation last year, consolidating the types of food establishments in our planning code from 13 down to 3. I've challenged my department heads and I urge the Board of Supervisors to continue looking for similar opportunities that will make government more responsive to the needs of small business people. And small businesses, manufacturers, technology, restaurants, and our entire economy will benefit from a major step we took together in 2012. We tackled one of the hardest and most complicated issues we could face, the one where many said we couldn't reach consensus, reforming our business tax structure. Thank you, President David Chu. Thank you, John Avalos, Supervisor. Thank you, Controller Ben Rosenfield, City Economist Ted Egan, and thank you, City Attorney Dennis Herrera and Treasurer Jose Cisneros. And thank you to the entire business community. Thank you for your leadership and partnership in developing and passing a landmark measure to phase out our payroll tax and replace it with a gross receipts tax. Now, our collective challenge must be to continue working together to implement this reform fairly and transparently. We must also live up to our commitment that the new revenue generated from Prop E, an estimated $28.5 million this year, is reinvested in housing, infrastructure, small business, and economic development. And we are putting thousands of San Franciscans back to work on construction projects that are transforming our city. And we are building in areas planned and zoned for growth. We're proving that San Francisco of Mission Bay and the Trans-Bay Tower can coexist with the San Francisco of stately old Victorians, Chinatown alleyways, Telegraph Hill bungalows, and quiet West Side neighborhoods. Infrastructure, as most of you know, is near and dear to my heart. And as the former city administrator, I drafted our city's first 10-year capital plan, a blueprint to upgrade our infrastructure and guide our investments. And in the last 5 years, our voters have approved nearly $2 billion in general obligation bonds for everything from parks to paving our streets to retrofitting our fire stations and our water supply to be ready for the next major earthquake. In the coming weeks, I will partner with Supervisor Wiener and Supervisor President Chu to introduce an earthquake safety program to get the most vulnerable residential buildings retrofitted, including financial incentives and assistance. The rebuild of San Francisco General Hospital, the largest general obligation bond in our history, is well underway, on time, and on budget. And just last month, we broke ground on the North Beach Library, the last in our branch library improvement program. Next month, in this very community, we'll open the new Bayview branch library. Yeah. Thank you, Luis Herrera, Librarian of the Year for 2012. Yeah. Thank you for making our libraries a truly accessible resource for all the families in San Francisco. And under the innovative leadership of General Manager Phil Ginsberg, in partnership with our Recreation and Parks Commission President Mark Buell and so many wonderful park advocates, San Francisco's parks are among the best in the nation, with even more improvements on tap, thanks to $195 million from Proposition B last year, including Golden Gate Park, Lake Merced, McLaren Park, and parks along our waterfront. And thanks again to the voters. We are finally addressing the backlog of repairing and replacing our crumbling streets. Thank you, Mohammed Nuru, our Public Works Director. DPW will pave its 100th street this week under that bond. And when you're through today, talk to Mohammed about your favorite street that you would like to pave. The Transit Center District Plan, approved in September and anchored by the new Transbase Center, will provide 27,000 jobs, more than 4,000 new homes, 1,000 new hotel rooms, and 12 acres of new open space, with the Transit Tower, the tallest building west of the Mississippi, at its centerpiece. Along the waterfront, mixed-use development like the historic Pier 70 and the Mission Rock development with the San Francisco Giants at Seawall Lot 337 will create vibrant new neighborhoods and public open space. And in less than 5 years, we'll welcome back the Golden State Warriors. A crumbling pier used only for parking cars will be retrofitted and transformed into a spectacular new arena for sports, entertainment, and conventions, bringing people closer to the waterfront and creating good-paying construction jobs for the city residents and year-round union jobs. It'll be one of the most transit-accessible arenas in the nation, a short walk along the waterfront from BART and Muni, ferries, and Caltrain. Ladies and gentlemen, these kinds of opportunities, attracting an NBA franchise to locate to our city and privately finance and build a spectacular new facility on our waterfront, they only come once in a lifetime. As elected officials, we have an obligation to always put the interests of our city first, to work with our communities and ensure that we ultimately support the best project possible in the best location. And in the last 6 months, I think we've seen that the Golden State Warriors and their leadership, owners Peter Guber and Joe Lacob and President Rick Welts, have been fantastic partners to the city and to the community. Accessible, transparent, and attentive to the city team and to the needs and concerns of the neighbors. And they're having a heck of a season, too. Well, this is a partnership meant to last. And I very much look forward to working with them, with the members of the board, and with our communities across our city over the next year to ensure we do this right and seize this extraordinary opportunity. And as you can see, our economic recovery is not just about buildings, but in the flourishing of our arts and cultural institutions, our vibrant nightlife, and the major international events that we attract. Very soon, the new Exploratorium will open on Pier 15 to ignite the curiosity of children young and old in a spectacular waterfront space. Last week, many of us celebrated the opening of the beautiful new San Francisco Jazz Center. The stunning expansion of SF MoMA to house the Fisher Collection will break ground this year. And in Central Market, the arts and the theater are the key driver of the neighborhood revitalization there, from street art to smaller venues like the Luggage Store Gallery and ACT's Costume Shop Theater, to Piano Fight's new Taylor Street complex and ACT's planned reopening of the long-shuttered Strand Theater. And we're proving that no city in America can do big events like we can whether it's an industry event like Oracle Open World or Dreamforce, or the unveiling of the latest Apple product, crowd pleasers like the great Warren Hellman's Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, or the Fleet Week, or sports-focused events like the Kraft Fight Hunger Bowl, or the 2013 World Baseball Classic, the 2013 Schwab Golf Cup, and of course, the America's Cup this summer. And with all of your help, in May of this year, we'll be making the case that San Francisco is the best city in America to host Super Bowl 50 in 2016. But friends, you know, what still motivates me to work harder every day are the 30,900 San Franciscans who are still unemployed, who are not yet sharing in our vital, resurgent, and strong San Francisco. When I became interim mayor in 2011, successfully implementing our landmark local hire ordinance was one of my top priorities. And I'm proud that working with the building trades unions and the community, we have consistently met and even exceeded our goals of placing San Franciscans onto jobs on city-funded projects. Thank you, Supervisor Avalos, and thank you, Commissioner Arce. Last summer, we provided more than 5,000 summer jobs and paid internship opportunities to young people in partnership with the United Way of the Bay Area. We were also awarded $8 million in U.S. Department of Labor grants to launch TechSF. This will train and place veterans, disconnected youth, and others into the technology industry for their careers. In fact, the first 80 TechSF participants graduate this summer, and I can't wait to attend their graduation. In a diverse economy, not everyone can and wants to work in technology. In the last 2 years, we have placed 804 San Francisco residents in jobs in construction, healthcare, green jobs, and hospitality through our sector academies, and working with our workforce nonprofits like JVS, Larkin Street Youth Services, Young Community Developers, and others, and we need to expand them. Next week, I am looking forward to attending the graduation ceremony of our Healthcare Academy to train and place residents in skilled jobs within our growing $16.7 billion local healthcare industry, which contributes more than 104,000 jobs, good-paying jobs, to our city in hospitals, research institutes, universities, and medical firms. And finally, to fully ensure that our economic recovery reaches every single resident of San Francisco, we must join with President Obama and our Democratic leader, Nancy Pelosi, and shout from the mountaintops in support of comprehensive immigration reform for our country this year. We are a city of immigrants, and yes, we all know it. Some of them are undocumented. They are fathers and mothers, daughters and sons who work hard and contribute much to the fabric of this city, but also live with trepidation on a daily basis. So it's time to let them come out of the shadows of our society, and we must demand that Congress pass the DREAM Act and create a pathway to citizenship for immigrant youth and track to college and military service. And we must demand a pathway to citizenship and legal participation in our society for every American and every San Franciscan. And this San Francisco of the 21st century also requires a vision and a plan to move our residents, our workers, and our visitors around the city reliably, efficiently, and affordably. Yes, I'm talking about our public transit system. I'm talking about all the different systems that move people around our city, often efficiently, sometimes not. Muni, BART, Caltrain, and one day high-speed rail. Now, I know it's frustrating to push your way onto an overcrowded train or watch an overloaded bus go by. And I understand the anxiety that comes from being late to work, late to pick up the kids, or late to school because you were on time, but your bus wasn't. I'm very pleased to report that under Director Ed Riskin, in just over a year at the helm, positive changes are underway, and with the full support and leadership of the MTA Board of Directors, the nation's 7th largest public transit agency is once again focused on operations and investing in infrastructure, in maintenance, and in safety. This year, Muni riders will see 62 new hybrid buses hit the streets, the first new buses in 6 years. 60 new electric trolley buses are on the way, and 80 buses and 150 light rail vehicles will be refurbished and overhauled. We will see more taxis on our streets and technology that makes it easier for you to get one. Last year, the MTA adopted a 2-year budget with nearly $250 million a year for state-of-the-good repair investments, and with no reductions in service and no fare increases. Last year, we secured $942 million of federal grant, one of the largest federal grants we've ever received, to complete the long-planned Central Subway. And this spring, crews will start the 12-month underground journey of tunnel boring machines from South of Market to North Beach. We are now wrapping up environmental review to finally bring dedicated bus rapid transit to Van Ness Avenue, and following that, along Geary Boulevard to the relief of Supervisor Marr's Richmond District constituents who ride that 38 Geary, one of the nation's busiest bus lines. And as a job center for the entire Bay Area, we must work together regionally to electrify and extend Caltrain to downtown and explore long-term sustainable funding for BART extensions within the city. But it's not just about buses and trains. You know, bike ridership has grown 71% since 2006. Yeah. And you can see the progress we're making after years of delay implementing our bike plan. In 2013, we'll finally welcome bicycle sharing to our city too. We're focusing also on pedestrian safety to ensure everyone, including people with disabilities, can be safe walking and moving on the streets and on our sidewalks. And we're embracing alternate forms of transportation through the new sharing economy, with car sharing provided by companies like City Car Share, Zipcar, Get Around, and Relay Rides, and electric scooter sharing from Scoot. And a growing number of San Franciscans look to their smartphones every day to summon a taxi or an Uber sedan, or participate in innovative rideshare services like Sidecar and Lyft. Planning, building, and maintaining a reliable public transportation system in our city are among the most critical challenges we face. Our Muni system and our streets, not to mention our regional BART and Caltrain systems, are in dire need of comprehensive, coordinated vision and long-term funding strategies to meet the transportation needs, not just for today, but for our future. That's why I propose that this year, we take an approach to transportation in our city similar to the one we took the last 2 years with pension reform, housing, and payroll tax reform. In a nutshell, we invited all the key experts and leaders to join city staff in a room and say, we're going to keep at this until we can agree on solutions we can all get behind that will make a real difference. And it did work. I say, let's take that same approach with our transportation challenges too. We already have a lot of plans and reports that all draw similar conclusions. We need to modernize our system by investing and reorienting the service we offer to better match up with the 21st century patterns where people live, work, and shop. And so, along with Board President Chu, we will convene a San Francisco Transportation 2030 Task Force. Working with respected transportation leaders like Gabe Metcalf of Spur and the financial expertise of our Controller's Office, We'll invite representatives from all of our regional transportation agencies, key stakeholder groups of all of our neighborhoods, and our technology community to the table. I'm also very grateful that Supervisor Wiener, who has brought so much thoughtful work and passion to the transportation issues, has agreed to join in this effort too. Their task: report back to me, the board president, and the SFMTA chairman, Tom Nolan, with a coordinated set of priorities and actionable recommendations that, by executive order or by ordinance or at the ballot, will maintain the condition of our streets and make Muni and the other transportation systems in our city work the way they need them to work. Now, I know that some consider Muni as the third rail of San Francisco politics. Don't touch it. Don't get close to it, the political consultants and pundits will say. But friends, on this, as on other great challenges that we have to tackle, we cannot let politics be our guide. Truly great cities have great transportation systems. Paris, New York, London, Tokyo. I say San Francisco is pretty great too and deserves one as well. No, we're not going to fix our transportation challenges overnight or even in a year. Achieving a world-class public transportation system is a constant journey forward, not a destination. But let's approach our transportation challenges the way the San Francisco way, once again, through consensus and common sense. And let us take up the hard work and take the first step of that journey now. An equal challenge for our future is the availability of housing. Yes, in spite of all that we have done and all that we're doing for people of every income, especially low and middle income San Franciscans and families. I know something about this topic. I've worked on it and fought to make our city more affordable for tenants and immigrants since my long-haired college days. And though some may wish otherwise, we cannot defy the law of supply and demand within our city limits. Rent and the cost of housing are too high, in part because, quite simply, we haven't built enough new housing. But last year, we began to make some progress. In November, voters passed the Housing Trust Fund, a $1.5 billion stream of funding for the next 30 years for affordable housing and assistance for first-time homebuyers, including, thank you to Supervisor Farrell, for our first responders. Today, there are more than 4,000 housing units under construction, more than 20 times the total new housing built in 2011. But that's just the beginning, with 42,000 new units planned and approved for construction in the next several years, more than any time in the history since the 1906 great earthquake and fire, including Hunters Point, which could break ground as early as this year, and thousands of new units, housing units at Park Merced, Treasure Island, and in Central Market and downtown. Certainly, though, we can't just build our way to affordability, but every new home helps meet demand and takes the strain off of our rent-controlled units. But all of this will do little to help our very poorest residents in need of heavily subsidized housing. What we're doing now with our public housing system isn't working either. Supervisor Cohen knows this because she sees and works on it every day with residents in her district. Well, if you can't mend that structure, we should end it, but not without a new vision to replace it. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. Despite what you've read recently, there really are a few bright spots in our public housing. Employees who care, residents who keep their chins up and take pride in their home, strategies that are already proving successful for a few, ripe to be scaled up if we make the commitment. Appropriately, we call it Hope San Francisco. Hope SF is a 21st century model of public-private partnerships that integrate people of all ages, classes, and ethnicities into one thriving community. The financial model is integrated as well: federal funding, local money, and private investment. No more poverty housing that traps generation after generation in socially, racially, and economically isolated complexes. There is nothing San Francisco about that, and we shouldn't tolerate it. With Hope SF today, we're completely rebuilding Alice Griffith community. Just 2 weeks ago, we welcomed the first residents back to the rebuilt Hunters View community. It's time to fundamentally re-envision the way we provide housing to the lowest income San Franciscans. For weeks now, I've been active in discussions with HUD's senior leadership here and in Washington about how to get off the treadmill of troubled lists and repair backlogs that, quite frankly, will never get fully funded. Last week, I met with HUD Secretary Sean Donovan in Washington, and he agreed to partner with us to create a new strategy for public housing. So effective immediately, I've asked our City Administrator, Naomi Kelly, and Olson Lee, the Director of the Mayor's Office of Housing, to partner directly with HUD and Housing Authority staff to develop a set of recommendations by July 1st to re-envision public housing, building and expanding on the model of Hope SF. And of course, they will work together with tenants as well. Supervisor Breed, who grew up in public housing and knows firsthand the frustrations that residents feel, has agreed to join this effort. Thank you. We will engage, yes. We will engage residents, community leaders, nonprofit housing partners, and private sector development experts. I'm open to every one of their recommendations to reinvent the governance and the management of public housing, up to and including replacing the housing authority as we know it with a new model. Every San Franciscan deserves a safe, clean place to call home. We have not fulfilled this commitment, but I believe we can improve the condition of public housing and live up to our obligation to our lowest income residents if we build on what's working through Hope SF and collaborate with HUD and our partners in the nonprofit and private sectors. And on our streets, there are still too many people without any place to call home. Like you, I see them every day. People who came here to escape discrimination or abuse at home, who can't escape substance abuse or mental health challenges, and too many homeless families. Last Thursday, I joined the many volunteers participating in our annual homeless count. And like Mayor Newsom before me and most San Franciscans, I'm simply not satisfied with our progress. Over the last 9 years, 10,000 San Franciscans have left the streets or shelter system for permanent housing and services. And over the last 7 years, through our Homeward Bound program, we have reunited 7,000 people with families and loved ones in more stable situations in their home communities. Last year, for the first time in many years, there were no budget cuts to human services or public health, and I was proud to approve a $3 million add-back for emergency shelter and housing subsidies. But further progress is not about just money. It's about better linkages, better reform, and innovation. Last year, I invited former Supervisor Bevan Duffy to join my administration to work with our outstanding Public Health Director, Barbara Garcia, and our Trent Rohr, our Human Services Director, to apply his energy and commitment to bold ideas to homelessness. And he's jumped in feet first. After years of regular Project Homeless Connect, we now have Everyday Connect to provide a year-round bundle of services, not just every few months. We are undertaking shelter reform to modernize our shelter reservation system through 311, an online portal so that no shelter bed goes empty as long as people are on our streets. I'm proud to support Supervisor Cohen's effort, aided by a federal grant, to build a new 100-bed shelter here in the Bayview, and Supervisor Campbell's effort to create a 24-bed shelter for the needs of our LGBT homeless. And under a federal Lifeline program, that Supervisor Duffy has so passionately advocated for, many homeless people will now receive cell phones so they can connect back to society, to services, and caseworkers in a meaningful way. Significantly, on January 1st, we restructured and strengthened our street outreach capabilities, providing homeless outreach teams 24 hours a day. In just a few weeks, we've seen remarkable results with 50% more homeless people accessing services over even the previous month. And thanks to a close partnership with HUD, the Veterans Administration, and Swords to Plowshares, San Francisco has made enormous strides in reducing homelessness among veterans. We launched a successful 100-day campaign to house homeless veterans using HUD vouchers. We will officially open Veterans Commons in a few short days. Permanent housing for 75 veterans with on-site supportive services. We have more than 70 units of veteran housing scheduled to open this year. And there's a hard truth we must acknowledge, however controversial. For some, social services won't solve the problem. Like former Judge Feinstein and District Attorney Gascon, I'm disappointed that our promising efforts to save the lives of chronic inebriants through the Chronic Offender Court were cut short. I think against the interests of those who still suffer on our streets. But we won't give up on similar efforts, and we'll be back to try this another way. But let's finally call the question. It's time to implement San Francisco's version of the so-called Laura's Law to help the severely mentally ill who we too often see on our streets. These folks are a danger to themselves and to others, and we must work with their families and with the judicial system to prescribe medical treatment plans and put them on the path towards stability through case management and monitoring. For 2 years now, since I've been mayor, we've been piloting exactly this model with our public health department through what we call the Community Independence Initiative. And guess what? It is working. Preliminary results show great success helping people achieve and maintain greater stability. So this year, we'll make that pilot program and San Francisco's version of Laura's Law permanent. It's about public health and public safety. Despite a year where we experienced some very troubling homicides in our city, San Francisco remains one of the safest big cities in America, with homicides in 2012 still at levels not seen since the 1960s. But you and I know one homicide really is too many. I know I stirred up quite a hornet's nest last year when I was frustrated, like all of you, by the rash of homicides and shootings in this very community, and I suggested we needed to try something different, shake up our efforts, and with the police and with the community to stop this violence. And while I regret the anxiety and the misunderstanding it may have caused, I don't regret the dialogue it sparked and where it got us today. And that's the IPO strategy that we're using. Interrupt, predict, and organize. Since we launched the IPO, we've seen some measurable results, with no homicides in the month of August for the first time in 30 years. And homicides and gun violence down over the first part of the year citywide. Thank you, Chief Greg Sir, and to all of our police officers. Thank you, Pastor Bryant, and to our faith leaders. Thank you to our residents and communities for rallying together in the crisis to be the organizing. We need to save young men's lives. And we can be safer still. For the first time in years, we have a 6-year hiring plan to get more officers on our streets. And in the wake of the heartbreaking tragedies of Newtown, I look forward to signing into law very soon the nation's first ban on possession of hollow point ammunition introduced by Supervisor Cohen. These bullets have no place in our streets, and we must support President Obama's and Senator Feinstein's comprehensive efforts to reform our gun laws. And there is another type of violent crime that is just as corrosive to our communities, but where often no weapon at all is involved, and that is the crime of domestic violence and abuse, which still affect too many women and families in our city. We will not let the events of 2012 set back our city's international leadership on preventing and reporting domestic violence and abuse. And I pledge to continue working with the Commission on the Status of Women and our partners in the community to bring our IPO model to the issue of domestic violence so that our programs remain national models that protect women, children, and partners and save lives. I'm also proud that under the leadership of Wendy Still and Bill Sifferman, our adult and juvenile probation departments, working with my office, the police, sheriff's department, and other city departments, San Francisco in 2012 has responded to the challenges of realignment by the state, reducing our incarceration rate and integrating nonviolent parolees back into society and productive lives. And just as we can be a safer city, we must continue our efforts to be a healthier city. In less than 1 year, many of our uninsured adults will receive health insurance thanks to the Patient Protection and Affordable Health Care Act, to President Obama and Leader Pelosi once again. We are well positioned for this monumental transition because of our long-standing health access program, Healthy San Francisco, and the new national law will further extend health insurance to some 35,000 San Franciscans. And just as we reformed healthcare nationally to deliver quality care and control costs, we must take additional steps to do it with our city employee retiree healthcare system. We've done good work together on pension reform, but our work isn't done. We must address the challenge of the $4.4 billion unfunded retiree healthcare liability. We're beginning to make progress through changes brought by former Supervisor Ellsburn, but we must develop a more responsible approach while maintaining our commitment to providing health care to our retired city employees. So I want to thank Supervisor Farrell for his leadership on this issue, and know that together with our partners in labor, we'll address this important issue the San Francisco way through consensus once again. And finally, we must rebuild our California Pacific Medical Center and St. Luke's Hospital in the Mission. They are the providers of critical health delivery and emergency medical centers for our city, as well as major employers. Members of the board have taken a strong leadership role working with my office and with CPMC to bring a revised proposal back to the Board of Supervisors that delivers community benefits, jobs, and most importantly, critical health care facilities and medical care for our city. We are going to get it done. And that brings me to why we are here today at College Track. Education. Every week, I hear from business leaders that their number one priority is education. They are creating thousands of jobs, and they would like nothing better than to hire San Franciscans, but they often struggle to find their candidates. And it's clear to me that at the end of the day, despite all the accomplishments and signs of economic recovery, the only way our city will continue to be strong is if we set our children on a path to success by supporting and improving our public schools. In many cities, they choose to address their public education challenges by picking fights and pointing fingers. But once again, not in San Francisco. We choose to build partnerships that deliver measurable progress, and together, we strive for excellence in our public schools, not excuses. Last week, I met with our education leaders, the first time in anyone's memory that they all came together. The mayor, Superintendent Carranza, Chancellor Scott Skillman, Chancellor Desmond Hellman, Father Pravet, and President Wong. And we all agree that technology, equipping our kids early with the expectation for college, and setting them up to succeed in the 21st century economy are the keys to success. And we are making progress, especially at our public school district. San Francisco Unified continues to be the highest performing urban school district in the state of California. Test scores are at an all-time high. Truancy is down. Graduation rates are up, and we've seen double-digit performance gains by our African-American and Latino students in the last 5 years. Through our kindergarten to college program, we are one of the only cities in the country to establish college savings accounts for every kindergarten student and create college-going culture early in their lives. These results are being recognized by state and federal agencies. Just last month, we received a $30 million federal grant to bring technology, financial literacy, and job training to students in our Mission neighborhood. Supervisor Yee knows all this firsthand from his time on the school board, along with Supervisor Kim and Supervisor Marr. These gains are possible because the reforms underway, the partnerships in place, and our common commitment are there. But for our kids to succeed in the 21st century economy, that's still not good enough. We must do more. That's why this year I will propose in my budget to provide our school district with more resources than in any other time in our city's history. Nearly $50 million for our public schools and $25 million for universal preschool. Because like most parents, I view education as an investment, not as an expense. And increasingly, I believe we must focus our investments in our middle schools, the fork in the road for many kids and for many families in our city with kids in public schools, the point at which they decide whether they're going to stay in San Francisco or leave. Our middle schools offer one of our best points of intervention. You're going to hear me talking about this a lot this year because I want our middle schoolers who find themselves at this crossroads in life to choose the road to success, achievement, and self-worth, not the road that leads to trouble or down the path where they fall further behind. And as the 1 in 3 San Franciscans who went there know, we must continue our efforts to reform and save City College and preserve its accreditation. It's too important. It's too important to our city's social and economic future and central to our efforts to equip our kids with the skills to compete and win in the 21st century economy. I've offered all of the expertise to help Chancellor Scott Skillman and City College trustees make the hard choices needed to reform this incredibly important institution. And I want to thank Chancellor and the special trustee Robert Agrella for their candor and their commitment to working with us and working with the state to put City College back on track and remain an institution that provides hope and an affordable opportunity for college to every San Francisco young person. Because, ladies and gentlemen, hope and opportunity, after all, are really at the heart of this place, the idea that we call San Francisco. You know, many of us came here from somewhere else, or our parents did, or their parents did before them. And whether it was Guangzhou or Guadalajara, County Cork, or a rural county in Texas, what brought us here was that sense of hope that San Francisco, more than most places, offered greater opportunities to build a different and better life. A place where we're judged by what we accomplish and create, not by where we were born or what language that we first learned to speak or whom we love. We are a city that celebrates and rewards the pioneer, the innovator, the groundbreaker, and the risk-taker. Harry Bridges, Fred Korematsu, Harvey Milk, Gordon Loud, Dianne Feinstein, Willie Brown, Nancy Pelosi, so many more. We've known our share of adversity as well. Earthquake, fire, discrimination, the scourge of AIDS, and times of severe economic hardship. But we're also pretty darn resilient. And we're not afraid to fail when we're challenging the status quo or doing what we know is right. And most importantly, we know that none of us succeed alone, whether it's in school, in business, or in life. We know, as Michelle Obama said so well this past summer, that when you walk through that door of opportunity, you don't slam it shut. You reach back and you help someone else walk through that door behind you. My fellow San Franciscans, I know there is no limit to the success and potential of this extraordinary city if we keep the door of opportunity open to every San Franciscan. And if we work together, if we put the people's priorities ahead of politics, if we commit ourselves to unleashing their extraordinary talents, then I don't have a single doubt that San Francisco will be forever strong for us and for our future and for future generations. Thank you, and go Niners!